You know that guy that's completely unbeatable in 2K, so you don't let him play with good teams to try and make things more fair? Well, over the course of the years, this has actually happened in real life too. How come? Well, some players actually force the league's hand into changing some rules in order to make their style of play a bit more fair to other players, as they completely changed the way the game was played on both offense and defense. Rivals had to defend them differently and they kept getting torched, so eventually things had to change for the sake of the game. So today, we'll take a look at NBA players that actually made the NBA change the rules. Wilt Chamberlain. To no surprise, Wilt Chamberlain was consistently the most athletic player on the court at any time in the NBA, but absolutely nothing could be implemented to contain or limit his athleticism from taking over the scoreboard and stat sheets. Wilt's teammates would routinely stand behind the NBA backboard during an ordinary inbound pass from the baseline intentionally for big man. With his teammate waiting patiently to inbound the ball by standing directly behind the backboard, Chamberlain would simply get an intimidatingly fast running start from the top of the key while his teammate would inbound the ball over the backboard. 10 out of 10 times, Wilt would rise above the herd and throw it down for an easy flush over several smaller defenders. Teams simply couldn't contain Chamberlain. Ultimately, there were so many complaints to the league's front office and the commissioner that the NBA would ban inbound passes from over the backboard altogether. Bruce Bowen. Bruce Bowen is relatively unknown in today's basketball scene, yet it didn't stop him from having a major impact on the NBA. Players absolutely hated competing against Bowen, and it wasn't for his incredible defense or stunning athletic display. He was known for putting his feet under players in the air while in the motion of their shot. Similar to the injury Kawhi Leonard sustained due to the actions of Zaza Pachulia several years ago in the NBA playoffs, Bowen would discreetly try to injure the opponent player by slipping his foot under their initial takeoff spot. The NBA was in the loop of this when he was in the midst of his career and instituted an immediate rule change forcing every player to have a safe landing spot or space during their offensive possessions. Bowen would retire in 2009, but he's made a lasting impact on future NBA endeavors. Number 3. Charles Barkley. As a basketball player, you always think it's petty or useless when a referee stops a play because of someone standing in the paint for too long. But how did that become a rule? Make sure to send a thank you letter to both Charles Barkley and Mark Jackson. The pair were both relatively dominant 90s players who specialized in loitering on the paint for the entirety of the shot clock until they could get off the best shot imaginable. Because of the positive rate in which this worked and how persistent players were loitering in the paint for upwards of 20 seconds, the NBA instated a 5-second paint violation, ultimately eliminating a constant battle down low in the paint that stalled the play. Shaquille O'Neal. Easily one of the top 3 most physically dominant players to exist as we know it, Shaq was notorious for his style of bully ball. Nobody could outmaneuver O'Neal in the paint, man to man, let alone be a neutral body to his bodybuilder-like frame. Previously, the NBA had a ban in the 90s about the constant use of the zone defense, which would allow multiple players to swarm the possessor of the ball in the paint rather than a casual one-on-one. Due to the dominance of Shaq and the rate at which he was performing, 1-versus-1 against your parents' old favorite player in the paint, the NBA front office would pass a rule allowing constant zone defense, allowing opposing coaches to send as many defenders at O'Neal in the paint as he desired. Shaq was, no questions asked, the most dominant center in basketball during his entire career, showing absolutely no liabilities or mercy on defense or offense, and being able to put 30 points with 4 swats with great ease as if he was playing against children. In fact, people actually tried to foul him and they wound up getting hurt. O'Neal made the league change the materials of the backboards, once again after Daryl Dawkins forced them earlier, changed how zone defense was played, and even changed one rule, the hack-a-Shaq. That meant players couldn't intentionally foul opposing players that didn't have the ball in their hands during the last 2 minutes of the game, or they would reward the opposing team with 2 free throws in the ball. As you see now against Andre Drummond, Dwight Howard, Hassan Whiteside, and DeAndre Jordan. Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller made a name for himself due to his relentlessness and consistent three-point shooting, being able to pull up or catch and shoot from everywhere on the floor to throw three-pointers, being the first reliable threat from downtown in the history of the league. But besides this, Miller was actually quite clever and crafty, so he often kicked out to draw contact against everybody that guarded him beyond the arc, constantly drawing 3 free throws, even if his defender didn't actually touch him, so the league banned that leg kick while shooting. Let's wrap it up by saying, based on the dominance of some of these players, they forced the NBA's hand into changing some rules in order to make their style of play a bit more fair to other players, by completely changing the way the game is played on both offense and defense. We hope you enjoyed the video, so don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.